Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Om Aganati Mirandasya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Apavitra Pavitrava Om Bhurbhuvasvatat Savitaranyam Bhagavasthidimhi Om Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Transcendental sounds, sacred sounds. They're not coming from the material plane, they're coming from the spiritual plane, transcendental plane. Prime benediction for this age is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I was going to read a little bit about Krishna, personality of Om, the personality of Godhead, the personality of Om. Krishna. And from the summary study of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, as translated with commentaries by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is chapter 50, Deliverance of Mucukunda. Mathura is being attacked on two fronts. Kaliyavana
is attacking with vast hordes of military force, simply because he likes to fight, and he heard that Krishna and his city were very opulent, so he wants to take it down, make it his own, and destroy Krishna. He's just doing it because he wants to do it. He doesn't have a personal grudge or anything. Although he was born out of the desire of I think it was Gargamuni, who became offended or insulted by the members of the Yadu dynasty, although he was a priest of the Yadu dynasty. Anyway, they had a falling out, and he worked his Brahminical magic so that this demon king, Kali Yavana, was born to the Yavanas and was destined to fight the Yadu dynasty. It was out of Gargamuni's I want to get even, or a sense of wanting to punish for what they did to him, something like that. So, but it's not Kali Yavana himself. He's just a pawn in this grand scheme of things. And then Narada Muni, understanding that Krishna wants to destroy all these demonic forces, told Kali Yavana all about Krishna, how wonderful he was, and strong, and big army, and opulent, and he'd be a suitable match for you, Kali Yavana. So Lord Shiva did that with Banasura. Banasura was very powerful. He couldn't find a suitable combatant, someone to fight with. No one would fight with him because he was so powerful. And Lord Shiva reassured him, "Oh, you'll be able to. You'll fight with Krishna. You'll meet your match." So similar kind of thing going on with this Kali Yavana. So Krishna isn't actually fighting with him. He's walking away from him, and evidently very fast, because Kali Yavana was starting to chase him, and he was wanting to capture Krishna, running after him, but he couldn't catch him. And Krishna led him into a cave where Mucukunda is asleep for a very long time. We're going to find out about Mucukunda, why he was in that cave, why he was sleeping. But what happened was Kali Yavana was so worked up. I mean, he was ready to fight. When he went in the cave, it was a little dark. He thought it was Krishna lying down, and he kicked him really hard. And he woke Mucukunda. Mucukunda stared at him with glaring eyes. Fire started to come out of his eyes, and it burnt Kali Yavana to ashes. So that's how Krishna dealt with Kali Yavana, rather indirectly. So this is chapter 50, the Deliverance of Mucukunda, the man sleeping in the cave, with the eyes that could burn. When Maharaj Parikshit heard this incident of Kali Yavana's being burnt to ashes, he inquired about the sleeping man from Sukadeva Goswami. So Maharaj Parikshit is on the bank of the Ganges, and he's going to die in a few days, and so he's wanting to hear about God and the pastimes, specifically of the pastimes of the personality of Godhead when he appears as a person. So Maharaj Parikshit is hearing this from Sukadeva Goswami, and now he's asking, he wants to know, well, who was that man in the cave? He wants to know everything. Who was he? Why was he sleeping there? How had he achieved so much power that instantly by his glance, Kali Yavana was burnt to ashes? How did he happen to be lying down in the cave of the hill? Many questions were put forward Sukadeva Goswami, and Sukadeva also answered as follows. My dear king, this person was born in the very great family of King Ikshvaku. in which Lord Ramachandra was also born. So Ikshvaku is the sun god. With eyes that can burn. It's in that family. And Lord Ramachandra also, someone was asking the other day, because it was just Ram Navami, which is Happy New Year, and here it is, like April. What with New Year's in April? And it's a different calendar. It's the calendar of the sun. Lord Ramachandra appeared in the dynasty coming from the sun god, Ikshvaku. No, Ikshvaku was the son of Vivishwan. These things are a little complicated. I'm trying to understand. I don't want to mislead anyone, but if anyone is familiar with how everybody's connected, make some comments, correct me. And I'm trying to understand. Because in the Gita, Krishna says, I first instructed this imperishable science to Vivishwan, and he instructed it to his son, Ikshvaku. I think I've got that right. So he's the son of Vivishwan. He's not actually the sun god, but he's a descendant of the sun god. My dear king, this person was born in the very great family of King Ikshvaku, in which Lord Ramachandra was also born, and he happened to be the son of a great king known as Mandata. He himself was also a great soul and was known popularly as Mucukunda. King Mucukunda was a very strict follower of the Vedic principles of Brahminical culture, and he was truthful to his promise. He was so powerful that even demigods like Indra and others used to ask him to please help in fighting with the demons. And as such, he often fought against the demons to protect the demigods. The commander-in-chief of the demigods, known as Kartikeya, I believe he's the son of Lord Shiva, one of Lord Shiva's sons, Kartikeya. The commander-in-chief of the demigods, known as Kartikeya, was satisfied with the fighting of King Mucukunda. But once he asked that the king, having taken too much trouble in fighting with the demons, retire from fighting and take rest. The commander-in-chief, Kartikeya, addressed King Mucukunda. My dear king, you have sacrificed everything for the sake of the demigods. You had a very nice kingdom, undisturbed by any kind of enemy. You left that kingdom. You neglected your opulence and possessions, and you never cared for fulfillment of your personal ambition. Due to your long absence from your kingdom while fighting with the demons on behalf of the demigods, your family, your children, your relatives, your ministers have all passed away in due course of time. Time and tide wait for no living man. Now, even if you retire to your home, you'll find that no one is living there. The influence of time is very strong. All your relatives have passed away in due course of time. Time is so strong and powerful because it is a representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Time is therefore stronger than the strongest. By influence of time, changes in subtle things can be effected without any difficulty. No one can check the process of time. As an animal tamer tames the animals according to his own will, so time also enters things according to its own will. None can supersede the arrangement made by the Supreme Time. Yesterday, a few of the devotees, we went to one of the natural springs here, and we took a little dip, had a little picnic. It was very nice, associated with devotees. And we also had a little kirtan. There were other people there, and we had a little harmonium sit-down kirtan. It was nice, very nice. But when I got out of the water, I noticed I forgot. I wear this little clock. Time I am. I forgot to take it off, and it was filled with water. And they were like, oh no. So one of the devotees has a Nishinga pendant made out of solid gold. It's a beautiful pendant. So they were kind of laughing a little bit. And they said, because it's actually a stopwatch, but it acts as a clock, an alarm clock, and it does a lot of things. And they were laughing a little bit. I was all upset. My mouth was all full of water. And I said, well, it's a stopwatch. In other words, it's going to stop. It's a stopwatch. And they thought that was funny. And I didn't. I didn't think that was very funny at all. And I pointed to their pendant and I said, okay, so you have Lord Nrsingadev, but I have time I am. I have time, because Krishna, time I am. So it kind of gave a new way to see why I kind of like to. It's a little weird, walking around with this thing on. But for most people, for me, it's like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Time I am. So she has Nrsingadev, and I'm time I am. Krishna consciousness is fun. It's a lot of fun. Hare Krishna. It can be. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So there's a little section here about time and how Mucukunda, everything that he owned or had, was all gone because of time. Kind of like a Rip Van Winkle situation. Went in, slept for a really long time, came out, everything was gone. Thus, addressing Mucukunda, the demigods requested him to ask for any kind of benediction he might be pleased with, accepting the benediction of liberation. Liberation cannot be awarded by any living entity except the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Therefore, another name of Lord Vishnu is Mukunda, he who can award liberation. King Mucukunda had not slept for many, many years. He was engaged in the duty of fighting, and therefore he was very tired. So when the demigod offered benediction, Mucukunda simply thought of sleeping. He replied as follows: My dear Kartikeya, the best of the demigods, I want to sleep now. And I want from you the following benediction. Grant me the power to burn by my mere glance anyone to ashes who tries to disturb my sleeping and awakes me untimely. Please give me this benediction. The demigod agreed and also gave him the benediction that he would be able to take complete rest. Then King Mucukunda entered the cave of the mountain. On the strength of the benediction of Kartikeya, Kalyavana was burnt into ashes simply by Mucukunda's glancing at him. When the incident was over, Krishna came before King Mucukunda. Krishna had actually entered the cave to deliver King Mucukunda from his austerity, but he did not first appear before him. He arranged that first Kalyavana should come before him. See, Krishna, he's not really focused on the demons. He's actually focused on devotees. So his killing of the demons isn't because he just wants to kill demons. He's killing the demons to liberate his devotees. It's always in relationship to devotees. And like Hiranyakashipu, he didn't come because he was angry at Nrsingadev. He didn't come because he just wanted to kill Nrsingadev. No, he came because of his devotee Prahlad. He didn't come. He could have had Hiranyakashipu taken care of in any number of ways. But he came there personally because of Prahlad, because of the devotion of the devotee. And so he says he took care of Hiranyakashipu like someone might, if they had like one of these wasps that, can sting and bite, and just crush it between your fingers. And that says how he dealt with Hiranyakashipu. He was like a wasp, just crushed it between his fingers. A stinging biting wasp, just crushing. He came because of his devotee. So here also you can see the same thing. He wanted to deliver Mucukunda, who had done so much service for all the demigods. He performed so much austerity. He gave up everything and never asked for anything. He had such a service attitude. He had such a service. He was so inclined towards serving that Krishna wanted to deliver him. The demigods couldn't give him liberation. All they could do was just promise him that he could have rest. No one would bother him. So Krishna came there from Mucukunda, but he knew that the first entity that Mucukunda saw, the spider was going to come shooting out. So, hey, Kalyavana, you want to catch me? Come on, follow me, head this way. He led Kalyavana into the cave, and Kalyavana got the fire coming out. Now Krishna could deliver Mucukunda. So he arranged that first Kalyavana should come before him. That is the way of the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does one thing in such a way that many other purposes are served. He wanted to deliver King Mucukunda, who was sleeping in the cave, and at the same time he wanted to kill Kalyavana, who had attacked Mathura city. By this action he served all purposes. So, 2 birds with 1 stone. When Lord Krishna appeared before Mucukunda, the king saw him dressed in a yellow garment, his chest marked with the symbol of Srivats, and the Kastuba mani hanging around his neck. So this is Vishnu form. Krishna appeared before him with 4 hands as Vishnu Murti, with a garland called Vajayanti hanging from his neck down to his knees. He was looking very lustrous, his face was very beautifully smiling, and he had nice jeweled earrings in both ears. So this is the form of Krishna found in the Vaikuntha planets. The Vaikuntha planets, this Vishnu form, 4 arms with the Kastuba jewel, and in the Krishna Loka, he appears with 2 arms playing the flute and the peacock feather, and his pastimes there as a young boy, child. But in the Vaikuntha planets, he appears in the Vishnu form. He's the maintainer, and he gives liberation in that form. Krishna appeared more beautiful than a human can conceive. Whoa! Not only did he appear in this feature, but he glanced over Mucukunda with great splendor, attracting the king's mind. Although he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the oldest of all, he looked just like a fresh young boy, and his movement was just like that of a free deer. He appeared extremely powerful. His excellence and power is so great that every human being should be afraid of him. When King Mucukunda saw Krishna's magnificent features, he wondered about his identity, and with great humility he began to inquire from the Lord. My dear Lord, may I inquire how it is that you happen to be in the cave of this mountain? Who are you? I can see that your feet are just like soft lotus flowers. How could you walk in the forest full of thorns and hedges? I am simply surprised to see this. Are you not, therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the most powerful amongst the powerful? Are you not the original source of all illumination and fire? Can I consider you one of the great demigods like the sun, the moon, or Indra, king of heaven? Or are you the predominating deity of any other planet? So he doesn't know who Krishna is, but he's extraordinary. No, Mucukunda is no ordinary living entity. He was buddy-buddy with the demigods, and he was fighting with the demigods. He was a descendant of Vivishwan, and Ikshvaku. So he's up there. He's an extraordinary living entity himself, but he can't recognize exactly, is this another demigod? Are you another demigod? Are you the king of heaven? Or are you the king of the moon? Or are you the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu? I don't know who you are. Who are you? Mucukunda knew well that every higher planetary system has a predominating deity. He was not ignorant, like modern men, who consider that this earth planet is full of living entities and all others are vacant. The inquiry from Mucukunda about Krishna as being the predominating deity of a planet unknown to him is quite appropriate, because he was a pure devotee of the Lord. King Mucukunda could immediately understand that Lord Krishna, who had appeared before him in such an opulent feature, could not be one of the predominating deities in the material planets. He must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who has his many Vishnu forms. He therefore took him to be Purushottama, Lord Vishnu. He could also see that the dense darkness within the mountain cave had already been dissipated due to the Lord's presence. Therefore, he could not be other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He knew very well that wherever the Lord is personally present by his transcendental name, quality, form, etc., there cannot be any darkness of ignorance. He is like a lamp placed in the darkness. He immediately illuminates a dark place. King Mucukunda became very much anxious to know about the identity of Lord Krishna, and therefore he said, O best of human beings, if you think that I am fit to know your identity, then kindly tell me who you are. What is your parentage? What is your occupational duty? And what is your family tradition? King Mucukunda thought it wise, however, to identify himself to the Lord. Otherwise, he had no right to ask the Lord's identity. Etiquette is such that a person of less importance cannot ask the identity of a person of higher importance without first disclosing his own identity. King Mucukunda therefore informed Lord Krishna, My dear Lord, I must inform you of my identification. I belong to the most celebrated dynasty of King Ikshvaku, but personally, I'm not as great as my forefather. My name is Mucukunda. My father's name was Mandata, and my grandfather's name was Yuvanasva, the great king. I am very much fatigued due to not resting for many thousands of years, and because this, all my bodily limbs were flattened and almost incapable of acting. In order to revive my energy, I was taking rest in the solitary cave, but I have been awakened by some unknown man who has forced me to wake up, although I was not willing to do so. For such an offensive act, this person has been burnt into ashes simply by my glancing over him. Fortunately, now I can see you in your grand and beautiful features. I think, therefore, that you are the cause of my killing my enemy. My dear Lord, I must admit that due to the effulgence of your body, unbearable to my eyes, I cannot see you properly. I can fully realize that by the influence of your effulgence, my powerful potency has been diminished. I can understand that you are quite fit for being worshipped by all living entities. Seeing King Mucukunda so anxious to know about his identity, Lord Krishna began to answer smilingly as follows. See, Krishna doesn't really appear like that in Vraj Leela, with the glowing effulgence and powerful, and he doesn't appear like that. But Krishna is Krishna. But here, to Mucukunda, he's appearing in this very opulent, powerful, overwhelming, effulgent form, Vishnu form. So Krishna says, My dear king, it is practically impossible to tell about my birth, appearance, disappearance, and activities. They're unlimited. What is it? Ananta Shesh? He also has unlimited mouths and heads. And he's been reciting about the appearance, disappearance, and activities, pastimes of the Lord, form eternally. And he can't fully describe. So when Krishna says, my dear king, it's practically impossible to tell about my birth, appearance, disappearance, and activities, I'm right on. Man, I am so right on. Hare Krishna. This is so reassuring that, like, if I'm reading this and then I get the thought takes me somewhere for more glorification of Krishna, and then I look, the very next sentence is what I got without reading it. Listen, I'm so thankful. Yeah, I'm so thankful. Thank you. Because here's the next sentence, Prabhupada speaking. He says, perhaps you know that my incarnation, Anantadev, has unlimited mouths, and for an unlimited time he's been trying to narrate fully about my name, fame, quality, past activities, disappearance, and incarnation. But still, he has not been able to finish. That is reassurance. It's reassurance that's reassurance. Thank you, Krishna. Jai. I'm thinking actually the scriptures are like that. That we're reading them to learn about Krishna. But for realization, if we're engaging in devotional service and we're chanting Hare Krishna and becoming more and more purified, the vibration is more and more devotional, more and more ecstatic, chanting. Then when we read the scriptures, it confirms what we're already experiencing or realizing. Not that I came up with this on my own, because I'd heard it before, but I could access it appropriately. It kind of like validates the consciousness, validates the consciousness. And then the scriptures become relishable in that way. It's not something foreign that we have to plow through and we're always questioning. No, the scriptures become validation. They validate what we're becoming more and more conscious of. It validates. It validates. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Confirms. Supports. Reassures. We're on the right track. Jai, Hare Krishna. So Anantadev, he hasn't been able to finish. Therefore, it's not possible to know exactly how many names and forms I possess. It may be possible for a material scientist to estimate the number of atomic particles which make up this earthly planet, but the scientist cannot enumerate my unlimited names, forms, and activities. There are many great sages and saintly persons who are trying to make a list of my different forms and activities, yet they have failed to make a complete list. But since you are so anxious to know about me, I may inform you that presently I have appeared on this planet just to annihilate the demoniac principles of the people in general and to reestablish religious principles enjoined in the Vedas. Yeah, that's pretty significant. I may inform you that presently, in the present moment, this is what's going on. And in other words, that's all you really, really, really need to connect with is what's going on in the present. Although great sages and saints, and they're describing, past events, and there's also some prophecy there. But what the devotee really needs to connect to is Krishna in the present moment. So it's really significant. He says, anxious to know about me, I may inform you that presently I have appeared on this planet just to annihilate the demoniac principles of the people in general and to reestablish religious principles enjoined in the Vedas. I have been invited for this purpose by Brahma, the superintending deity of this universe, and thus I have now appeared in the dynasty of the Yadus as one of their family members. I have specifically taken my birth as the son of Vasudeva in the Yadu dynasty, and people therefore know me as Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva. You may also know that I have killed Kamsa, who was in a previous life known as Kalanemi, as well as Pralambasura and many other demons. They have acted as my enemies, and have been killed by me. The demon who was present before you also acted as my enemy, and you have very kindly burned him into ashes by glancing over him. My dear Mucukunda, you are my great devotee, and just to show you my causeless mercy, I have appeared in this form. I am very affectionately inclined toward my devotees, and in your previous life before your present condition, you acted as my great devotee and prayed for my causeless mercy. I have therefore come to see you to fulfill your desire. Now you can see me to your heart's content. My dear King, now you can ask for me any benediction you wish, and I am prepared to fulfill your desire. It is my eternal principle that anyone who comes under my shelter must have all his desires fulfilled by my grace. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Woo! When Lord Krishna ordered King Mucukunda to ask a benediction from him, the king became very joyful, and he immediately remembered the prediction of Gargamuni, who had foretold long before that in the 28th millennium of the Vaivasvatamanam, Lord Krishna would appear on this planet. As soon as he remembered the prediction, he began to understand that the Supreme Person, Narayan, was present before him as Lord Krishna. He immediately fell down at his lotus feet and began to pray as follows. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Thank you. So immediately fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and began to pray as follows. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality, I don't know how he could even speak, but he's speaking. I mean, I can hardly read this, and he's speaking. I'm like, whoa, Woo. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I can understand that all living entities on this planet are illusioned by your external energy and are enamored of the illusory satisfaction of sense gratification. Being fully engaged in illusory activities, they are reluctant to worship your lotus feet. And because they are unaware of the benefits of surrendering unto your lotus feet, they are subjected to various miserable conditions of material existence. They are foolishly attached to so-called society, friendship, and love, which simply produce different kinds of miserable conditions. Illusioned by your external energy, everyone, both man and woman, is attached to this material existence, and all are engaged in cheating one another in a great society of the cheaters and the cheated. These foolish persons do not know how fortunate they are to have obtained this human form of life, and they are reluctant to worship your lotus feet. By the influence of your external energy, they are simply attached to the glare of material activities. They are attached to so-called society, friendship, and love, like dumb animals that have fallen into a dark well. The example of a dark well is given because in the fields there are many wells unused for years and covered over by grass. And the poor animals, without knowing of them, fall into them, and unless they are rescued, they die. Being captivated by a few blades of grass, the animals fall into a dark well and meet death. Similarly, foolish persons, without knowing the importance of the human form of life, spoil it simply for sense gratification and die unnecessarily without any useful purpose. Boy, his prayers go on for a really long time. Pages and pages. Wow. I think I'm going to stop there. Ooh, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Get you out on a little Harinam this afternoon. Into the park, Legacy Park. Playground. Out near the playground. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.